Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
Saints and Vikings, noon in Minneapolis this Sunday. Mike Triplett, neworleans.football on Twitter, at Mike Triplett, with us every Thursday here on AFR, joins now. Mike, good afternoon. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Mike, let's start on the offensive side of the ball, where, for a while, it was, are the Saints ever going to hit 20 points? And now they've gone over 20 points in the last 3 games. Have the Saints turned the corner offensively?
Well, they've turned a corner, but, obviously there's still some flaws there. I really liked what I saw from them in the first half against Chicago, especially when the defense was not acting like itself, and they had to respond with, they were down 7-0, they tied at 7-7. They were down 14-0, they tied, or 14-7, they tied at 14-14. That was really good. But obviously they got really stale in the second half and made that game a lot closer than they needed to. Not a lot of points off 5 turnovers, so they're still getting there, but, they keep showing us glimpses of their potential. They keep adding a few things they're doing a little better. Derek Carr with a lot of in-cutting routes last week. Getting Juwan Johnson back involved. We still need to see more Michael Thomas. We still need to see a little more of the run game, but I think they're at least trending in the right direction.
One thing that's pretty noticeably different, the offensive line certainly seems to be playing better, but the caveat with that is that was the 6th different combination they ran out there on Sunday. So I guess my question is how? Like, when you're running out different guys that much, how is the improvement kind of coming along as it is, given what it was earlier in the year?
Well, they've got the combination they want right now. Obviously they wish Trevor Penning was playing better, and that they didn't have to sit him back and have him learning, but they had everyone at their disposal, so they got to choose the lineup they wanted, and one of those choices was keep Andrews Pete at left tackle and move James Hurst back to left guard, which is kind of interesting, but it seems to suit Pete well, the way he's played the last couple weeks. But I would also say that I think they've made great strides in pass protection after that was one of the biggest problems on the team to start the year. I still am a little concerned by their run blocking. Outside of Taysom Hill, they've really struggled to generate a consistent run game. That's what got to be near the top of the priority list for what they have to fix in the second half of this season.
So that was actually going to be where I went next, was the running game and Taysom Hill. As dominant as he's been, it kind of has lacked a little bit. You mentioned the offensive line there. Is it all O-line? Or, like when we've seen Kamara be so effective, he's always had kind of that secondary option to him, whether it was marking him or whatnot. Can Taysom Hill be that, or is it just really the offensive line that needs to step it up?
Well, Jamal Williams could be that too.
That's
if you're talking about that 1-2 punch at running back, and I think part of the reason why we saw Kamara's snaps go down from what we're used to in the last game is they did get Taysom Hill involved, and they're trying to get Jamal Williams involved, and not to mention Kendry Miller, who's probably not going to play because he's dealing with an ankle injury. So they got a lot of guys there. I got to put it mostly on the offensive line. Obviously, I don't know all the inner workings of what's not working and if guys are missing holes that are there for them. But Alvin Kamara has looked so good this year when he gets into that second level of the defense and in the passing game. It's really just getting these guys out of the gates. It's 1st and 10, and then it's 2nd and 10, or it's 2nd and 9. It's those, just handing the running back the ball on 1st and 10 has been killing this team this year.
I want to flip sides of the ball with you, Mike, over to the defense. And, slow starts. Dennis Allen seems quite perturbed by them, judging by all the comments, and understandably so. Is there one thing that you can kind of pinpoint as to why they've started so slow?
No, it doesn't make a lot of sense because this defense is so good, and then when they do wake up, they play so good. They're finishing these games so strong. And the worst part was Dennis Allen did have some perturbed comments about the slow starts at the beginning of last week, and then they went out and they had their ugliest start yet. I think it was their ugliest start that I've seen from them in this current era that started in about 2017, since they've been this really good defense. So I was really flummoxed by it, especially against a team like the Bears that shouldn't have been that threatening. Now, one area we can definitely pinpoint is this issue where they keep letting, it's not Jalen Hurts and it's not Lamar Jackson, but they're making every quarterback in the league look like that by letting them escape the pocket and gain 20-plus yards. And letting Tyson Bagent have, 70, 80 yards last week was really frustrating. Now they're going to really be put to the test against Joshua Dobbs in Minnesota. He's actually second among all quarterbacks in rushing yards this year, behind only Lamar Jackson.
That is, it's like you're inside my head, Mike. That is exactly where I was going. Was going to ask you concern level with Josh Dobbs, because we talked about it earlier in the show where, I think you feel pretty good about the Saints secondary going up against him as a passer. He's turned the ball over an awful lot. The Saints have been great at doing that. But the legs, I know Dennis Allen talked about the proper way to rush the passer. The Saints play a lot of man. How much of a concern level is that for you going into this game, Dobbs' legs against the Saints defense?
Well, first of all, it feels like a correctable issue, and I say that, and they haven't corrected it yet, but that feels like a correctable issue. Cam Jordan has admitted his frustration that one way you have to correct it is be less aggressive as a pass rusher. You need to, try to beat the man in front of you, but also, as Nick explained it well, you crush the pocket, but you keep those lanes at least in your peripheral vision. But it does make you not just completely tee off and be like, I don't care what's happening behind me. I'm going to try to beat the man in front of me. And I think they're going to be even more diligent in doing that against Dobbs. It's one thing to kind of let a Trevor Lawrence surprise you by escaping because you didn't think he was a running threat, or even Baker Mayfield or Jordan Love to a certain extent, or Tyson Bagent. But with Joshua Dobbs, that's something he wants to do. So I think they're going to be extra diligent in making sure that happens. What I worry about is how much pass rush do they sacrifice in the process.
Yeah, the Trevor Lawrence thing was even more maddening because he was on a bum knee that night as well, and just kept running all over you in the first half. So here's the other thing, too, I wanted to talk about. Obviously, look, they go into their bye after this week with Minnesota. What is, aside from getting the win, right, that's most important, of utmost importance, what's one thing you want to see from this team, take it on both sides of the ball, first offensively heading into the bye?
Yeah, I think we hit on a couple of them. A fast start on defense, being able to run the ball with consistency are two things that I think have been missing from this team that you'd like to see, along with the offensive gains that they've made recently. But I will be honest, like this one at Minnesota, pretty decent opponent, an opponent that if you don't win the NFC South, you're going to be fighting for a wild card spot with. I'll go ahead and take one of those ugly 24-17, wins like they just got against Chicago. You just got to get out of Minnesota to win, get into your bye week, be in a good position, and then still have two games against Atlanta and one against Tampa to go after that bye week. You got to do whatever you can to set yourself up to really be the front runners in the division.
Saints and Vikings this Sunday in Minneapolis. Looking to avenge a loss from the game in London last year as well, are the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
Mike Triplett from neworleans.football. He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett. Y'all give him a follow. He's with us here every Thursday on AFR previewing this week's game. Mike, we appreciate the time, and we'll do it again next week.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.